Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm very happy to have you here. I'm Nipasa Pradhan. I'm going to be your host for the next hour in this session. So, thank you so much for joining us today. And before we start off today's session, and I introduce you today's guest and the topic for today, I have this very important disclaimer. And that is by watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. So, once again, friends, a very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you've joined us from. Thank you so much for joining us on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And we are streaming live right now on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So, let's make this session a very participative and interactive one by commenting. So, whatever questions you have, or you want to tell us about yourself and about the topic, anything or anything about any great immigration as well, you can comment and we'll be very happy to answer to your questions. Also, friends, in today's webinar, we are going to dive into this topic that is crucial for both professionals and businesses alike. Is the L-1A visa the fastest path to a green card? So the L-1A visa, we are going to be discussing a lot today about it, and we are going to be joined by an expert, to help us unpack this topic. So very glad to be joined by none other than our guest for today, Prashanthi Reddy. Thank you so much for joining us, Attorney Prashanthi Reddy, the founder of Reddy Immigration Law Firm, and she has an extensive experience in business immigration, particularly for IT, healthcare, and other industries. So Prashanthi, thank you so much once again to join us this week as well.
Thanks, Nipasa, for having me. As always, it's a pleasure and looking forward to an interesting session.
Me too. So thank you so much once again, Prashanthi, and all you folks out there for joining us. And if you think that your friends are also going to be benefited or going to resonate with this session, please feel free to share this link and ask them to join immediately. All right. So as you can see, this is the topic on the screen. Is the L-1A visa the fastest path to a green card? So Prashanthi, what do you have to say about the topic and what can friends out there expect from this session today?
Yes, so we'll be talking about the L1, and we'll be talking about the L1A specifically, because L1A leads to EB1 category, and a lot of people would be interested in qualifying for EB1 given the backlogs for EB2 and EB3, right? So we'll talk about how to qualify for an L1A, what are the requirements, and answer questions as well.
Yes, we are. So there you go, friends. Feel free to comment your questions, and Prashanthi is here to give you expert answers today. All right, so the L-1A visa it is then, and let's dive right in. Before Rag says, hello, Prashanthi and Nipasa. So, hi, Rag. Thank you so much already for joining us. Good to have you. If you have any questions, you can keep dropping them. All right. So, my first question to you, Prashanthi, is can you provide an overview of the L1 visa and how it fits into the broader landscape of US work visas? But before that, maybe a quick introduction to what is an L1 visa?
Okay, so an L1 is basically an intra-company transfer. So what's happening is there's a company in the US and there's a qualifying company abroad, and the company abroad is looking to transfer their multinational uh, executive or manager to the company in the US. So it's a transfer between companies. It's called an intra-company transferee visa.
Okay.
In order to do that, there has to be a qualifying relationship, as I said, between the US company and the foreign company. The qualifying relationship could be that of a parent and subsidiary, it could be a branch office, it could be an affiliate, and we can get into that more later.
Okay, for sure. But as for the overview, do we have more categories under L1 visa?
There's L1A and there is also an L1B visa. The L-1B is for specialized knowledge, people who have specialized knowledge, and L-1A is for, as I said, multinational executives. Um,
Mhm.
for L-1A, you have to show that you're working as an executive or a manager. For L-1B, you have to show that you're a person with specialized knowledge of the product or processes of the company, and the company cannot easily train a US citizen, and therefore
Unknown caller.
the case is being processed. For the L-1A, the advantage is it leads to an EB-1 directly. The EB-1 is EB-1 multinational executive. And for L-1B, it doesn't lead to an EB-1, but you could definitely file a PERM and file under EB-2 or EB-3 category. For L-1A, there's no need to file a PERM if you're filing for under EB-1. You directly file for an I-140, and the requirements for EB-1, L-1A, EB-1 category multinational executive is pretty much the same as the requirements for an L-1A.
All right, all right. And well, friends, today we are going to find out how fitting is an L1 visa for you, whether an L1A or an L1B. And if you're in the US, how is it going to fit you in a broader landscape to work in the US? All right, so moving on, we have questions already. Quickly say hi to RK, Madhavi. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your questions. Stay with us. We are going to pick them up very quickly. But for now, Prashanthi, moving on to another question I have for you is if you could tell us what are the eligibility criteria for L1 visa and who is best suited for this type of visa?
So the eligibility criteria for L-1A is, as I was saying, you have to be an intra-company transferee, and you have to be transferred between uh, two companies, one in the US and one abroad, having a qualifying relationship. So the companies have to be related to each other. The relationship could be a parent, a subsidiary relationship, that is, one company owns more than half of the other company, or one company is a 50% company is a 50% partner of the other company, um, or one of the companies owns less than half of the other company but has control over the other company. Or it could be a branch office, which is basically the same company as that of the parent company, but it's operating in a different location. That's a branch office, and the L1 branch office must be registered as a foreign corporation operating in the US. That's a branch office. Or it can be that the two companies are related as affiliate organizations. And again, there are three types of affiliate organizations. Two companies that are owned and controlled by the same parent company or persons. Two companies that are owned and controlled by the same group of people, each person owning and controlling roughly the same percentage of shares. And some multinational accounting firms also qualify as affiliates. So there has to be a qualifying relationship between the companies. That's the most important. And as I was saying, the other requirement is it should be that the person is a managerial executive or has specialized knowledge. Executive generally refers to an employee's ability to make decisions, and has a wide latitude of oversight, and does not have to and can do things independently without having to go back to the owners of the company. That's an executive, like a CEO is an executive. You could also be an owner, by the way, and a CEO. So, but it's not necessary that you are the owner of the company. You could be an employee as well. So it could work for both employees as well as business owners to sponsor
Okay,
themselves. Um,
okay.
so you could, in addition to being executive, the other um, requirement is it could even be a managerial capacity. So generally, a manager refers to an employee who controls the work of other employees. So there are other people that report to him, or they may be control the work of a particular department or subdivision or a particular function or component of the company. So it could be either that he's managing people or he's managing a certain function or component or department. So
Okay.
that's a manager, and specialized knowledge is specialized knowledge of the company, the product. Um, so that's specialized knowledge. So that's those are the two, I think, main requirements, and we can talk about the others a little later. Also, it's important that um, both the entities be doing active business, the US as well as the foreign company, and that the business, there must be a viable, functioning business, right? Engaged in international trade. So that's another requirement to keep in mind. And yeah, so there's some specialized rules for new offices, and we can discuss that a little later. And there are also some
Absolutely.
documents that are required, and we could discuss that as well at length.
Sure, Prashanthi. Thank you so much for taking that up and for the detailed answer. And absolutely, of course, each
Nipasa,
case is different. Hello, can you hear me?
do you have
So,
further questions, or do you want me to? Yeah, do you want me to? Yeah, go ahead.
sure. So, I was saying thank you so much for taking that up, and for sure, we are definitely going to speak more
Yes,
about
I can.
it. Yes. Sure. Anyway, now I have this next question for you, and that is, what is the biggest advantage of the L1 visa over other work visas like the H1B?
So I think the biggest advantage is, like I discussed. Let's go over one by one. First, I think it's an opportunity for business expansion. With the H1, there are only certain kinds of work visas, right? There's the H, there's the TN, there's the L. And with the other categories, you can't really sponsor yourself, but in an L, you can sponsor yourself. You can be the owner of the company, and you can also get the benefit of the L1. So that's a huge advantage, the L1. So it's good for entrepreneurs as well as employees. And it allows, therefore, for business expansion. The L1 allows for enabling qualifying multinational companies to expand their operations to the US. So that's a big advantage. Second, there's no quota. So unlike other visa categories such as the H1B visa, that has a statutory cap, only 65,000 H1s are allowed. Um, so plus, the 20,000 for masters, but 85,000 H1s are allowed every year. For the L1, you can file any number of L1s. There's no cap, so there's no wait period. You don't have to wait for March every year to file your L1. You can file it at any time. Um, Third, there's no educational requirements for a H1 and for a TN as well. You have to meet the certain educational requirement standards to qualify. You have to have a bachelor's in a specific field in the job that you're requiring, that you're going to file in. And so most managerial categories wouldn't qualify for the H1 because for a manager, as per industry standards, you don't really require a bachelor's degree. Anyone with experience can become a manager, right? So manager category people don't do well when you're filing for a H1. So that's one thing. The job doesn't require a bachelor's degree. And the second, you don't have to show that the job requires a bachelor's degree. And third, um, um, and more importantly, it's for people who don't may not have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, or for people who maybe don't have a bachelor's or master's degree but not in the specific field. So no educational requirements are required. Um, so that's a big advantage. Uh, Number four, dual intent. For the TN, for example, you cannot file a green card, or there are limited options of filing a green card and then applying for a TN. For an L1, it's a dual intent, meaning you can have the intent to immigrate as well as file for the L1 simultaneously, just as a H1. Number five, green card eligibility, as I was saying. Um, if you are an L-1A, then you don't have to go through the PERM process. You can file directly on I-140 and 485. And in addition to that, it qualifies under EB1, so the priority dates look much better. And this is significant for Indian nationals. Number 6, family or dependent members can come to the US as L2s, and they can go to school, and that's extremely important for those dependents who want to accompany their family members. And last but not the least, spouse employment. L2 spouses, L2S, are directly can directly work, meaning they don't even have to apply for an EAD or 765
Mhm.
like H4s do, H4 dependents do, and all L2 spouses are eligible, unlike H4s where only some are eligible. All L2 spouses are eligible, and they're eligible directly upon getting an L2 status. They do not have to file for EAD separately. So these are, I think, some of the benefits of the L1.
Definitely many benefits. It's not just a few. So thank you so much,
Right.
Prashanthi, for highlighting the benefits of L-1A over other work visas like an H-1B. So folks out there, you might want to look out for the L-1A visa, and definitely, if you want to contact Attorney Prashanthi Reddy, you can also give her a call. Her details are scrolling on the screen. And Prashanthi, I think we should take up one or two from the audience before we move on with our
Sure.
questions. So
Yeah.
let's take up one. This is from RK. Hi, RK. Thank you for your questions. This is on YouTube. So why didn't EB1, EB2 for India didn't move in the October visa bulletin?
Great question. You can expect maybe that there will be movement in the future. And sorry, but I actually didn't look at the October visa bulletin, and I'm going to look at it immediately as soon as I get an opportunity to do so. I'm surprised that the October visa bulletin didn't move. Nipasa, do you know that the bulletin is out? Or let me check.
I also haven't gone through it thoroughly, so I wouldn't be wise for me to say, but we can check it right now
Right,
as well.
right. Let's just check if the October visa bulletin is out.
Sure.
Or maybe our learned audience can tell us.
Sure.
No, it's not out. It's not out, so I don't know.
Now, even EB2 row didn't move. Is this normal? His next question was following.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
am looking for the October visa bulletin and I don't see it.
I think RK, we don't have yes, we don't have it out yet. So
I was wondering whether
I
it's something that I didn't know about because I'm expecting it any day and I didn't look at it
I think
today
it was the
to
September
see
visa
if.
bulletin that RK got,
Ah,
went
okay.
through.
Maybe. So that's
Maybe.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
RK, if you could
yes, so he can just rephrase his questions if that's the case, and we can take it up
okay,
again.
sure, we will. All right, moving on. Let's take up another one then for now. Madhavi. Let's go with Madhavi's question. Okay, this is sorry, not Madhavi. Madhavi will take your question in a bit. Let's take this one from LinkedIn. This is Hani. Hello, Mrs. Prashanthi. My question is, if one works 1.5 years as manager in another company and return to US on the same H1B, can that person file for EB1?
Well, in order to file for an EB1, you need to qualify, and the qualifications are similar to that of an L1. So, oh, RK says, sorry, refresh, it's out. So, RK, we're going to definitely look at it and get back to you. But to answer, yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but to answer the previous question, yeah. Uh,
Hani.
if you worked as a manager for a qualifying organization abroad, and remember I said qualifying, so there has to be a qualifying relationship between the US company where you're working right now and the foreign company where you uh, came out, where you worked earlier, and you should have been working as a manager there, and you should be you should have come to the US, and you're still working in a manager and still as an L1 qualifying manager. You don't have to be on an L1, but as a multinational executive or manager, and your work in the parent company should have been uh, 1 year out of the last 3 years, right? So it's not a work that you did 10 years ago. It should have been within the last 3 years. So if that happens, then you can definitely apply for EB1 directly without filing for L1. But if you're on a H1, generally H1s and L1s jobs don't go together, meaning if you qualify for a H1, usually, since you have to be as a manager on an L1, usually manager positions don't qualify as a H1. So we'll have to look at your case to see whether, your job on a H1 still qualifies and whether you meet all the requirements for EB1.
Sure, but she has a follow up. Maybe she means to say, I mean another country. One working on H1B goes and works as manager outside US for 1.5 years or 1.5 years, yeah, within the same company. Can he or she apply for EB1 on return to US on the same H1B?
As I just said, my answer hasn't changed. If you qualify,
Sure. Hani, thank you so much for your question, and I hope that you got your answer. Thank you, Prashanthi, for taking that up. All
you're
right,
welcome.
so let's let's move on now. Let's take up another one, should we? Let's go for Akshay. Akshay is asking on YouTube. October visa bulletin just came out. Thank you. EB1 is still backlogged. And do you think EB1 in the future will be getting worse? I plan to come for a PhD starting next year.
Hmm. So EB1 hasn't moved at all because, guys, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm talking to you guys and I haven't looked at the October visa bulletin. So if EB1 has not moved at all, then I wouldn't lose heart because it might move next month. And maybe it's just that they haven't figured out what the numbers are and what the demand is. So it is possible that it'll move next month. It doesn't mean that October is always the best month. They might be looking into what the demand is, and if they don't see much demand, they might move it up. So there's always a possibility, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prashanthi and Akshay, for your question as well, for participating. All right, let's move on now quickly to another question. Do we have Hani following up again? Okay, Samuel. Samuel, Hani is saying thank you so much, Prashanthi. So thank you, Hani.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Let's take up Samuel from LinkedIn. His question is, if I have an LLC in the US, can I apply for an L visa to migrate to the US and work in my company? What would be the requirements?
Uh, if I have an LLC in the US, can I apply for an L1 visa to migrate to the US and work in my company? What would be the requirement? I think we discussed the requirements already, Samuel, just now. You have to have a company abroad and you have to have a company in the US. You should have worked in the company abroad for a period of 1 year as a manager or an executive, and there should be a qualifying relationship between the foreign company and the US company, and you should be moving to the US on an L1 to work again as a manager or executive. Um, and that, as I said, your company in the US um, should have a qualifying relationship with the parent. So these are some of the qualifications,
Mhm.
for an L1.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Samuel, for your question. I hope it's pretty clear. And you can always look back at what we had discussed just some time back because we have discussed this in more details. All right. Thank you once again. Moving on, let's take up another question now quickly. This is from Gamer K11. Hi, I would like establishing a firm in India, its partnership or private limited firm, and another company in USA. One of the partner wants to manage USA business. Is L1A still possible?
I would like to establish a firm in India, so they don't have a firm in India, and another company in the US, so they want to establish both companies. And the partner wants to manage the US business. Is yes, if you're a partner, if the question is that you're a partner and you're not sure if a partner can file an L1, then yes, the partner can file an L1. You can be an owner and a L1 employee at the same time. So that's the great thing about the L1. You could petition from your own company, even if you're an owner of the company or part owner or shareholders, etc.
Cool. So, Gamer K11, all the best. Thank you so much for your question, and thank you, Prashanthi, for taking that up.
You're welcome.
All right, quickly moving on. Let's take up another question. Nirmit. Nirmit is asking, has the processing time for DOL PERM application stage after PWD and before I-140 reduced under EB2 visa green card application?
Uh, I'm sorry, there seems to be a follow-up also to that. I see on
Yes.
DOL's website that most applications are approved, which are submitted 7 to 8 months back, including that processing time has reduced from 12 months to 8 months. So for a
8 months.
perm, generally the processing time is about 6 to 8 months, but it can go to a year or longer. Generally, if there is an audit. So if there is no audit, generally 8 to 10 months. So I haven't seen a change in the processing time. I think they still follow that general guideline of about it's very rarely 6 months. It's not 6 months. So it's about 8 to 10 to 12 months.
All right. And okay, there's another bit as well asking, has the processing time for DOL PERM application stage after? Oh, yes, this is what we started with. Yes, that's it.
Right. I think we've answered that
Okay, thank you
question.
so much. Yes, yes, we have. We have. So, Nirmit, thank you so much. And I hope you got your answer. And actually, this is paired. This is paired. This is through Prashanti's channel. So, thank you so much for watching us and joining us, Nirmit. Moving on, let's take up one another question. Gamer K1 says thank you. So, thank you so much as well. And Nirmit also says thank you. So, thank you so much for your questions and for joining us. All right, so I think Madhavi has been waiting for some time. Let's take up Madhavi's question before we go for a break. Madhavi is asking on YouTube, I'm currently about to apply for L-1A visa through my company. And at the moment, I am working as a technical specialist, but going to take a manager position in USA. As I'm going to switch from technical to management role in USA, do you think it will lead to any visa rejection as I am applying for L1A?
So if you're going to switch from technical to manager role, you have to move and work in a manager role in your foreign company for a period of 1 year, right? And then you qualify for an L1, provided you show that you're going to be working in that managerial role in the US after coming here as well. And managerial role again, that up a little later, right? Nipasa as to how to qualify for an L1A executive or manager and what they to qualify for a manager role, you have to show that you're actually managing 2 levels of employees under you. You have to show that the employees are professionals, meaning they have a bachelor's degree. You have to show that it's just not a job description, but you have to actually document it. So you have to show documentary evidence that you're managing. It could be that you're doing performance evaluations, It could be that you're signing off on documents as a manager. It could be email correspondence showing that they are taking your advice or approval on certain aspects of the job. It could be that you're granting them leave or a raise. Everything that a manager generally does, you have to show documentary evidence of it.
There you go, Madhavi. And please stay with us because we are definitely going to discuss a little later in this session about how to qualify for a managerial position or what are the requirements. So thank you so much,
I just
Madhavi, for
wanted to
taking.
say quick. I just wanted to add quickly that I think her main question is, since she's moving from a technical job to managerial job, will it be a
Yes.
problem? No, it won't, because you'll be working in that managerial job for a period of 1 year in the foreign company. So that's what qualifies you for the L1, and the fact that you'll be working again after you come to the US, you're showing that you're going to work in a managerial role as well. So that's what qualifies you, not your previous work experience.
Okay. That's good news then, Madhavi. All the best and for all your future endeavors as a manager. And thank you so much, Prashanthi, for that quick note and for taking up Madhavi's question. Also, at
You're
this
welcome.
moment, friends, yeah, please stay with us because we will be taking up each of your questions and we'll discuss further on today's topic, and that is the L-1A visa, the fastest path to a green card. Is it or is it not? So, we are discussing it today, and stay with us to get to know more about it with none other than our guest for today, who you are free to contact, by the way, in case you want to have a one-on-one discussion and maybe consult your case with attorney Prashanthi Reddy. You can call her on this number, 212-354-1010. Please take it down, and you can also note down her email address, that is prashanthi at reddyesq.com. Please check out the spellings on the screen, and you can also go check out reddyesq.com to get to know more about attorney Prashanthi Reddy. Don't go anywhere. We'll just go for a quick break. Stay with us here on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show.
Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H-1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm Nipasa Pradhan, and this is the second half of this session we're having today with none other than our guest, attorney Prashanthi Reddy. And today we are discussing about the topic: is the L-1A visa the fastest path to a green card? And the L-1A visa designs for intra-company transferees in managerial or executive roles. Friends, today we are discussing and diving deep into this topic and also answering each of your questions. So, once again, thank you so much for participating. Stay with us. And yes, I can already see so many more questions. So, we are going to pick them up one by one. Thank you, Prashanthi, for being such a spot so far. And I'm enjoying this discussion on L-1A visa. Moving on, I think we should take up one question from our side as well. We've already spoken about the biggest advantage of L-1A visa over other work visas. And now we just want to know, how complex is the L-1 visa petitioning process and what are the common challenges that applicants should avoid?
So it is pretty complex, and the denial rates are higher than the denial rates are for a H1 or a TN or any other work visa, simply because USCIS doesn't want too many people coming on an L1, I guess. And so they try to be strict with reference to proof of who is actually working as an executive, and they don't take a job description and take our word for it that the person is actually working as a multinational executive. They look into each detail. They want documentary evidence of every aspect to show that we qualify for the L1. So one thing to keep in mind, I mean, with reference to pitfalls, one thing, or challenges, one thing to keep in mind is you have to make sure that you're continuously employed in the parent company abroad. If you're traveling frequently, or if you were, 6 months in the US or some other country, and you're trying to show that you've been working as a multinational executive in the in abroad in the parent company, say in India, then you're not going to qualify for the L1 because it has to be continuous employment. But continuous doesn't mean that you have to work every single day. There could be brief trips to the US for business or pleasure, and that will not interrupt your continuous employment abroad requirement. So, but something to keep in mind. And also, another challenge is for new companies. If you have incorporated your US company less than a year ago, you're considered to be a new company. So there are advantages and disadvantages of this. The advantage is that they will not look at all the details with reference to whether you're a viable business or not, how many employees you have. Because you're a new company, they don't expect you to have, a big balance sheet and 10 employees and the whole, expect you to fulfill the requirements of, managing other people from day one, right? So they give you a year. So they approve the L1 for a year, as long as you're able to show that you have a sufficient physical premises, and you show that you have for how many people you intend to employ, a futuristic organization chart to show, what your who you plan to employ in the next 1 year, your financial plan for the year, marketing analysis for why you think your business is a good business and it's a viable business. As long as you show these things, um, then you will get the L1. But the L1 will only be for 1 year. So that's the disadvantage. The new office L1 is only for 1 year. You don't get it for 3 years. And then after the 1 year period, if you show that you've met all the requirements, then they give it to you for 3 years. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you have a new company, it could be a challenge, but there's an advantage and disadvantage to it. As I was saying, there's lots of documents required. If you're filing for one, just to mention, I'll just
Yes.
quickly read out a few. So the certificate of incorporation to show that your company is incorporated, share certificates to show that one company owns the other company, or has a qualifying relationship. As I was saying, the org chart to show that you are managing 2 levels of employees or going to manage 2 levels of employees. As I was saying, the business plan to show what your plans are for the next 5 years. Repatriation of funds to show that you have, the bank statement showing repatriation of funds, showing that you have transferred, starting capital required to run your, US business from the parent company or from the foreign company. All your bank statements, your tax returns, all the other information where you can show the viability of your business, or if you're already an existing business, then to show, and if you're, say, for example, it's the same documents for the company abroad or for the US company. So if if you're the company abroad, you're already doing business, so you'll have to show a list of your tax returns, your bank statements, list of your clients, contracts to show the volume of business, brochures, photographs of your office. If you're doing imports and exports, and bills of lading, airway bills, etc. So these are some of the documents that are required. Payrolls to show that you've been working in the foreign company for a period of 1 year. copy of the lease for both foreign as well as US companies to show that you have an office premises. And in addition to that, documents to show that you are working in an executive or managerial position, detailed description of duties with a percentage of how much time you spend on each duty, how much time you spend doing executive work, managerial work, administrative work. You can do administrative work as long as you show that more than 50% of the work is uh, ad-
Managing.
executive or managerial. Another pitfall here or another challenge is they don't like to us to say that you're qualified based on both managerial, executive, and specialized knowledge. They want us to stick to one. So whatever
Okay.
job you're doing more than 50% of the time, then we stick to that and then just say either executive or managerial or specialized knowledge and don't combine all three. So that's very important. Um, Also, it's important to show the workflow of the company and show where each person operates within that workflow or an SOP, kind of like a standard operating procedure document. Um, Also, as I was saying earlier, if you're working as a manager, then document to show that like emails, performance reviews, say you're part of the board meeting, then minutes of the meeting, documents that you signed off as a manager or an executive. All these documents are also important. For example, if you're a executive, then you'd also be making some proposals or making some executive decisions with reference to, where the company is going moving forward. So, I mean, if there are some documents that you've prepared with reference to policy decisions, then you would submit those. You would submit maybe the budget if you've helped prepare it, then you'd sign off on the budget as the CEO of the company. So these are some documents that you need to submit, when you're filing your L1. And I also mentioned some of the challenges for the L1 and what documents to submit to overcome those challenges.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking that up, Prashanthi. And I know there's so much to discuss about, and I can see so many from the audience as well. So, quickly before we move to our audience's questions, I would like you to tell us, what does this dual intent mean? It's a very important thing to discuss about under L1 visa holders, L1 visas. So, what does dual intent mean for L1 visa holders, and how does it impact their immigration journey, Prashanthi?
Dual intent is basically there's some categories that allow dual intent and some that don't. Dual intent categories are the H1, L1, the TN, and the E3 or the Australian visa, the E3. They don't allow dual intent. So an F1 doesn't allow dual intent, neither does the B2. So dual intent is when the visa allows you to have the intent to immigrate and where you don't have to show uh, when you go for the visa at the consulate that, or when you're filing for a change of status or extension, that you intend to go back to your home country. So if you don't need to show that, then it has a dual intent, which means that, for example, for an L1, you can have the intent to immigrate and as well as apply for the L1. So if you have a green card petition pending, family based or based on EB1, and if you are filing for an extension of your L1, or if you're going for a visa, um, it does not in any way hinder you from getting that status or extending that status or applying for that status if you have a green card, an I-140 petition or an I-130 petition pending. And there's no requirement that you show the intent to come back or not to immigrate to the US or come back to India. There's no need for you to show ties to your home country either, um, which you would have to do if you were applying for a TN or an E or applying for an F1 visa or a B2 visa. So that's dual intent for you.
Thank you so much, Prashanthi, for taking us over what is dual intent for L1 visa holders. And absolutely, thank you so much, friends, for your questions. I think without further ado, let's take up this one. I'm so happy to see many LinkedIn participants today. Normally we have more from YouTube. So today, good to see from LinkedIn, we have Leonardo. Leonardo says all visas are taking years to process. What do you have to comment on that, Prashanthi?
Does he mean the green card immigrant visas? Maybe that's what he's talking about, the green card. Yes, it is taking years because there is, depending on which country you come from, if you're from India or China, um, the visa number, the green card numbers are not available, and that's why it can take up to a lifetime, right? In certain categories, and even in family-based, if you're like a brother and sister for U.S. citizen, it can take forever. I mean, there's really almost no purpose in applying unless you want to benefit for your children, maybe, and you're applying it in advance. Yes, it is taking several years. We are hoping that there'll be some uh, change. The only way that this can change is if Congress acts, and the only way Congress will act is if the Democrats come to power, and or a immigration friendly Republican party comes to power, and also both the House and the Senate are controlled by one party, or both parties agree to do the same thing, which is almost impossible in today's partisan politics. But yes, the only way to do this is through legislation. There is also, ways to do this through executive orders. If if the White House so chooses, they can perhaps have USCIS um, bring out a new regulation which says that the green card numbers, the family based, the dependents of people who are filing for green cards do
Mhm.
not have to be counted in the numbers. Now you need a separate number for each family member. And so if you're a family of four, you're taking up four green card numbers instead of just taking up one. So that could be possible, those kind of changes, which would really help also. I don't know why it's not being done. So let's hope and see something will happen after the elections. Let's see.
Let's hope for the best. Well, time is flying for real because it's already September and it's 10 days down, 11th day almost down. And quickly we will be into the new fiscal year, October, and then the election. So big changes are coming, friends. You just have to be a little more patient and stay hopeful, okay? Moving on, let's take up this follow up from Akshay. We had a question earlier, but he's asking again. What do you suggest my plan should be if I come for a PhD? Are there any tips for a long term future in the USA?
If you come for a PhD and you're planning to work in the research field for some time after your completion of your PhD, you should definitely file for an EB1 researcher category.
Mhm.
Um, and the nature of PhD is research. So, um, that's what you should do.
Yes, all the best, Akshay, and I hope you find out what could be best for you. All the best. Moving on, we have Gamer coming again with another question. Hi, continue my previous question that a partner is eligible for L-1A in USA company, and both establishment is new in India as well as in USA. How much investment is needed in the USA?
Partners eligible for L1 in USA company, both establishment is new in India as well as US. So you have to invest as much. It's not an investor visa, remember, it's not an EB5 visa or an E2 visa.
Mhm.
Um, you have to invest as much as is required for your company and as much as is required to make it a viable business. So if you're able to show that it's a viable business, with good prospects of making a profit
Mhm.
through your business plan, market research that you've done, and I would say, bring in as much money as is required for your company to function independently until it starts. So that would be your investment. So it depends on the nature of business. For example, if you're a
Okay.
IT consulting company, you might not require a huge investment because the only investment is you're getting an office space, perhaps um, paying your employees for the next 6 months. So that would be your investment. If you're, looking to develop a product, or if you're looking to manufacture, then there's a huge investment involved because you have to set up your manufacturing unit, or you have to put in enough money to, develop that product.
There you go, Gamer K11. I hope you got your answer. And since your case is a little different, I think it would be best to consult an attorney directly. If you don't have one, I think you should get one for sure. And why not maybe book a consultation with attorney Prashanthi as well? You can call her on this number, 212-354-1010. You can even email her directly about yourself and your case to prashanthi at reddyesq.com, and go visit reddyesq.com for sure. Quickly moving on, we have RK following up with another question. He's asking if no, there's one. Okay, can L1B apply for EB1C? What happens when you reach 5 years on your L1B? Are you able to extend beyond the 5 years? If you can't extend,
Yes.
what will happen? What will happen to your I-140 if you are not able to file the I-485?
So you should move to a H1, and then on the basis of a H1, you can't extend beyond the 5. You can extend for 6 years because on a H1 you can stay on 6 years total. And then if you have an I-140 approved, you can continue then um, extending your H1. And that would be the path to take. Uh, but I don't think you would have to wait for 5 years. On an L1B, yes, it's a good question because you'd have to file um, a regular labor cert under EB2 or EB3, because if you're working on the basis of an L1B, you may not qualify then for the multinational executive category, because for that's an L1A type of application. Though you don't have to be on an L1A, but you should be working in that kind of a position, and your company should qualify, etc. You have to meet all the requirements. You could qualify on any other basis, extraordinary ability, etc. For that, you can be in any status. It doesn't have to be L1B or L1 or H1 or anything. You could independently be on any valid non-immigrant status to file for an EB1 on any other category.
Okay.
But yeah, I can understand your concern. If you're filing a regular EB2, EB3, you may not get it, and you might have to move to a H1
Yes.
from an L1, and then stay on a H1 and then do what everybody else is doing. File extensions on your H1.
There you go, RK. I hope you got your answer. And thank you so much, RK, for your questions, for actively participating. But I think you should definitely book a consultation with attorney Prashanthi Reddy. And even if not, get an expert advice. It's always best to consult your case with an expert. So, all the best. And thank you for your
Hello,
question once again.
Nipasa?
Moving on. Yes. Sorry, Prashanthi. Moving on, we have Bunny Ram asking on LinkedIn. I hold
Yeah.
H1 approved, but not stamped yet. I want to go on B1 business visa. F1 visa is it possible for me to get B1 or F1 approval, or can consulate reject me?
I want to go on a B1 visa, okay, or an F1 visa. Uh, I mean, if you qualify for whatever you're filing for, there's always a chance of rejection. On a B1 and F1, there is an intent to immigrate issue. So if you filed a green card, then you might not get the visa. Being on a H1 previously does not mean that you cannot now move to a B1 or an F1 if you qualify independently for either one of them.
Okay. There you go, Bunny. I hope you got your answer. And if you have further questions, you can keep commenting. All right, moving on. Okay, he has another question actually. just comment. He just posted it just now, asking, "I have an approved H1 visa, but haven't gotten it stamped yet because I don't have a client letter. I'm considering applying for B1 business visa or an F1 visa instead. Is it possible for the consulate to approve a B1 or a F1 visa for me, or an F1 visa instead? Is it possible? Okay, sorry. Or an F1 visa for me, or could they reject my application because of this situation?" It's the same question
Um,
rephrased.
you've rephrased it correct. You've rephrased the same question. You have to independently qualify for either one of the visas. And being on a H1, obviously, if you're coming on a B1 or an F1, you cannot work on a H1. Um, so, and also to let you know that the consulate is not supposed to ask for client letters, but your company should have work for you when you come into the US. So if they don't have work for you, then there's no point in coming in. Yeah, if you qualify independently, you can file.
Okay. All the best, Bunny. Thank you for your question, and I hope you got your answer. Thank you, Prashanthi, for taking that up. Well,
Welcome.
Gamer K11 is back saying that he would like to trade the products. And he says thank you already. I
Okay,
think
so you can,
regarding his two
you,
companies, yeah.
yeah, he could do that. Yes.
Okay, that's great. Gamer, you can go ahead. All the best. Thank you for participating. Moving on, let's take up this next question from Catherine. "I have a company in the UK and running a fleet consultancy business for 4 years. Is it possible for me to open up a sister company for the same consultancy and move to the USA? And following, what are the basic requirements to do this, and what is the time scale for processing?"
I think, Catherine, we discussed the basic requirements. There has to be two businesses, one in the US and one in UK, and they have to have a qualifying relationship of subsidiary or subsidiary parent or an associate or a branch office. And you should be working in a managerial executive level position in UK for a period of 1 year. Then you can transfer yourself to the US operation to work as a manager or executive in that same manager or executive level position. Um, and with reference to processing, there's premium processing available. So you could potentially get your approval within 30 days or faster. And if you do it regular processing, then it could take a few months. And once it gets approved, then you have to go get schedule a visa interview date in UK and get L1 visa and then come into the US. The dates availabilities could vary, so you have to look that up to see how long that'll take.
Great. All the best, Catherine. Thank you so much for your question. Moving on quickly to Siddharth's question. This is on YouTube. "I am a Canadian citizen with TN status since July 2023, working for a Canadian subsidiary for a US firm based in Canada on Canadian payroll for 4+ years. I'm aiming to relocate to the US in December. Do I have the option to switch to L1 visa since it's more practical plus dual intent? I was told this might get denied and I risk losing my TN. The ultimate goal is to have a path to green card."
So it depends on which country you were born in. If you were born in Canada, then you might still be okay going with the TN and applying under EB2 or EB3 category. If you were born in India, then definitely EB1 category is much better for you, and therefore coming on an L1 is much better because that leads to after a year leads to filing under EB1 category. And also, as you said, the L1 is dual intent. Um, do you deny risking your losing your TN? TN is a separate thing, and an L1 is separate. It's not necessary that if you file for one, the other one should automatically get cancelled. They don't usually do that. Um, but you never know. But they don't usually cancel one before approving the other.
Okay. There you go, Siddharth. I'm sure you have all your answers. Thank you for your question, by the way, and thank you, Prashanthi.
You're welcome.
Sunita is asking now on YouTube, can we convert H4 to L1?
Yes, you can, as long as you meet the requirements. But remember, 1 year out of the last 3 years, you should have worked in the company abroad as a multinational executive. So if you're here on a H4, how would you do that?
True. Well, Sunita, I hope you got your answer, and definitely thank you so much. Um, Moving on, I think we should take up Shree's question. This will be, I think, one of the last questions. So let's take up Shree's quickly. Shree's asking, I have a question about the L-1A visa. I am the president of my company in Poland for several years. For a year now, I have also established an LLC in the USA, but the turnover is very low. I do not have time to deal with this company from the USA. Is it a good idea to apply for an L-1A visa in order to properly start my LLC business in the USA?
You
And
could,
what
but
are
if
the
it's
options? Sorry. And what are the options for the
you
L-1A visa? Will it be easier to apply for a green card in the future?
you could, but if it's already an existing company, then they'll want to look at all the finances. They want to make sure that you meet all the requirements off the bat. Um,
Mhm.
so it might, and since it seems like you have a company, but it's not doing very well, I don't know whether it'll meet all the requirements. So if it is a company that you're not doing, that you haven't done much on, you might be
Mhm.
better off than starting a new company and
Mhm.
establishing a relationship and then doing it as a startup. That way, they'll allow you to come to the US and uh, properly manage your startup so that after a year, then you can file for an extension while you're here, since, hopefully your business will grow if you are now paying attention to it by being in the US.
Yes. True. Thank you so much, Sri, and thank you, Prashanthi. I think that's it. But I just saw Bunny's follow up question. I think we should take that up before we leave. Bunny is saying, I have an approved H1 visa, but haven't gotten it stamped yet because I don't have a client letter. I'm considering applying. Okay, it's the same again, but I hope, Bunny, you got your answer, and it would be best to consult with attorney Prashanthi directly. But Prashanthi, thank you so much. I think we have covered all the questions from the audience. So I'm glad about that. And if folks out there, you're watching this after the stream has ended, you can keep commenting because we have our experts who would be more than happy to get to you with good answers. So thank you so much. And Prashanthi, we actually have so many more questions. Maybe we should discuss a little more in the upcoming episode about the L-1A visa and also maybe about the October visa bulletin since it's very important. So, what do you say, Prashanthi?
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
absolutely.
And
Let's do that.
yes, we will. We will. And it's a wrap for today. But I before I say my thank yous, Prashanthi, do you want to give an end note to all viewers out there for today?
Um, well, I would like to comment on the visa bulletin. Don't get disheartened if the dates didn't move in October. There is still scope for them to move later on in the year. And also with reference to the L1, this is a really good option for business owners and top executives of business owners, who want to, of businesses who want to set up a branch or a business in the US to expand to the US. I think EB5 is great, but EB5 takes a long time. So L1 is a much, much better option than EB5. And there's another, of course, humanitarian investor visa, but that's really just doesn't give you any status, doesn't allow you to file a green card, so it's not useful. And the other investor, the E2, the treaty trader, treaty investor, is applicable only for certain countries, not for many countries. So, and also doesn't give you a path to EB1. So, I think overall, if you are a business and looking to open shop in the US, then an L1 is a really good option for you.
There you go, friends. And looking at the benefits of L1, that is why I think, folks out there are very interested and we have so many questions. So definitely, Prashanthi, thank you so much for highlighting the benefits of the L1A visa over the other work visas, such as H1B. Thank you for joining us today. It was a great session. And once again, thank you, Prashanthi, for sharing all your invaluable expertise on L1A visa and its role in securing a green card. So I hope to see you in the coming week once again. But until then, you have a great day ahead and see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you as usual. Hopefully, see you again next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, Prashanthi. And thank you, friends out there, also for all your questions, for participating. It was really nice for all of you, for joining us here with us on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. And if you found this discussion helpful, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our channel as well. And also hit the bell icon so that whenever we have discussions like these, you are also notified and you can join us immediately. So, yes, thank you once again. It's Nipasa Pradhan saying bye for now. But before that, I would also like to say you can contact Attorney Prashanthi Reddy directly. Her number is 212-354-1010. You can even email her, prashanthi@reddyesq.com. And also check out reddyesq.com to get to know more about Prashanthi Reddy and the law offices of Prashanthi Reddy. Also, friends, we also sponsor H1B visas, L1s, H4. You can always contact us regarding immigration or jobs, and you can contact me. My details are on the screen. You can call me on my number. This is also my WhatsApp number, 408-335-6444. You can email me, nipa@higherightpeople.com. And to get to know more about us, go check out higherightpeople.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Y'all out there have a great day ahead. And yeah, stay tuned to our channel because we keep having a lot of updates on immigration and jobs. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry, exceptional employee benefits, highly rated by our employees, global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us in the number 408-335-6444 or mail us at nipa@higherightpeople.com or visit our website www.higherightpeople.com.